Let's see, as we know, we have more than around 3 decades of civil war in Sri Lanka, which was ended aftermath or after defeated of the LTT in 2009 May. But in case of Eastern Provincial Province, it came to end in 2007. Um the war damaged and destroyed the infrastructure as well as other economic structure in case of Sri Lanka, especially in the north and east provinces. Indeed, there are many development activities need to be done in the war ravaged areas. Among them, force for regional development is significant one because this is a governance issue as well as a political issue right now. So, to deal with this force for regional development, EPC, meaning the Eastern Provincial Council, is expected to have the capacity to mobilize the resource, take competent decisions, effective implementation, as well as coordination too. Thereby, appropriate decentralization is pre-required for proper functioning of EPC to getting things done towards force for regional development. The problem is there are some studies noted that effective, powerful, and decentralized local government has not yet evolved in Sri Lanka. Though some projects have been completed and some are in implementation stage. How? Yes, those are implemented through or using public-private non-profit partnership. This is we call horizontal dimension of multi-level governance. Our objective is to explore the importance of public-private non-profit partnership in terms of post-war regional development in Sri Lanka. To achieve that object, we develop a research question: why public-private non-profit partnership required at sub-national level mean for post-war regional development in Sri Lanka? Basically, this is a qualitative method research. We did not focus on quantitative. We use the non-probability sample, the purpose is sampling to collect the primary data. If you see the data collection method, the data gathered by using primary and secondary sources. Let's see the primary data. We follow the interview method. We know there are two kinds of interview. One is in-depth, other one is semi-structured. We follow the in-depth interview. Our respondents, only 4 respondents we selected because to get some ideas why these PPP, the public-private partnership, important to Sri Lanka or at sub-national level to develop or deal with the regional development. So we select 2 academicians from university and 2 lawyers who are dealing expert in the constitution as well as the provincial council system. Indeed, the secondary data took significant place in these studies. So according content analysis took place intended for secondary data collection. As we know, published book, constitution law, act, research report, journal, and other existing literature has been used. Our core argument is provincial council, sub-national government is expected to work on post-war regional development. We focus on Eastern Provincial Council as sub-national government. Adequate resource, institutional capacity are pre-required for this agenda. But Eastern Provincial Council is unable to deal with the post-war regional development without assistance from bottom level as well as top level. Provincial Council has to adopt an alternative approach to make arrangements to getting things done towards post-war regional development. What would be the alternative approach? Yes, we argue that public-private non-profit partnership can be an alternative approach to contribute for post-war regional development in war-ravaged areas in Sri Lanka. Our finding is the concept of decentralization is not new in phenomena. Before the independence and after independence also, there are so many evidence related with decentralization. Indeed, subnational government are expected to work on post-war regional development. I already said the institutional capacity is pre-required for that agenda. Effective, powerful, and decentralized local and subnational government has not evolved in Sri Lanka. These findings are from secondary literature as well as we talked with some intellectual, the think tank, they also say the same things. And there are tension between national and provincial government as well as local government unit in the unitary system of Sri Lanka in terms of devolved power and their practice. Professor Amarasinghe, Professor Navana Bandara, Jambari Vikramaratne and Gunavarthana, they noted that The model adopted in the devolution of power in Sri Lanka places the center in the dominant position in the context of center-province relations. As well, the Institute of Professional Public Administrator, they also published one book. They also argue that the fiscal devolution has not brought about meaningful allocation of provinces to meet the public function assigned with fiscal capacity to provide ensuring public services. Public-private partnership as an alternative approach, we argue that since 1990, there has been a rapid rise of public-private, non-profit partnership across the world. It is occur in the developed as well as developing countries. Government in developing as well as developed countries around the world struggle to provide adequate and better services to their citizens. Many developing countries have initiated public-private, non-profit partnerships in various sectors, including infrastructure, manufacturing, and services. PPP, public-private partnership are now written into legislation in many countries. For example, UK, USA, as well Italy, and the Netherlands. So in case of Sri Lanka, especially design project with specific objective are being implemented in the Eastern Province with assistance and the international economic cooperation with relevant stakeholder at national as well provincial level. But the situation seems to be improved. The North, these are some projects, the North East Community Restoration and Development Project, it is already has been done. And the objective of the project, improve the living condition and well-being of the people in conflict-affected areas by restoring basic social infrastructure, community and public services and livelihood. Other second project, it is ongoing. Now it is almost finished. The name of the project is Ringomala Integrate Infrastructure Program. It is started in 2005, and this is also it's kind of collaborative project. They are having several reasons for promoting PPP, public-private partnership. One is growing popularity, other one is the limitation of government resources and capacities to meet the infrastructure gap. If you see, the mobilization of private funding for public services has become critically important. There are constraints in terms of limited fiscal resources at subnational level in Sri Lanka. As Sri Lankan, we know the reality. The next reason is a need for new financing and institutional mechanisms. Other reason is benefit and strength. Other reason is access to project finance. Foremost benefit of adopting the PPP is the ability to access capital funding from the private sector, considering that funding is getting increasingly limited from public sector budgets. The e-government, the Eastern Provincial Council has to deal with the e-governance also. The e-governance fact also increase the need of public-private partnership. The rise in the internet, in the e-government has driven government to work more closely with private companies in the ICT sector, both in order to gain access to capital for the massive investment programs which are needed, and also often more importantly to access the expertise of these companies. The risks involved are all the greater because the public sector has little or no experience in these new technologies. But we cannot say the public sector no experience in these new technologies, but we can say they have a limited experience in this ICT. The Golden Brown also illustrate the commitment to public-private partnership with private companies as following. But we would say this public-private partnership, not the privatization. It is kind of collaborative activities to achieve one goal. He's noted that it must be right the government seeks to secure over the long term the most cost-effective infrastructure for our public services. The private finance initiative enabled us to do this by binding in the private sector into open and accountable relationship with public sector. Public-private, non-private partnership is one of the core characteristics of multi-level governance. We found one problem here because public-private partnership at subnational level indicate the horizontal dimension of multi-level governance. Indeed, to deal with the multi-level governance, EPC, I mean the Eastern Provincial Council is expected to have the adequate institutional capacity, appropriate legal framework, resources, and political commitment, as well as political will also needed. We know the Varadaraja Perumal fact, I think it was in 1990, no, sir, because he was trying to get the fund from India directly, but our central government did not allow. Then he declared North and East to become a so-called Tamilulam. Then he escaped from the Sri Lanka. It is the multi-level governance. It deal with like that. Actually, this is not the autonomy. It we are trying to bring the international donor, private sectors, and the subnational government, the provincial council, local government to deal with these projects. It is not related with the decentralization. It is related with the development, regional development. So this is our main argument and suggestion. These are our recommendation. In reality, the model adopted in the devolution of power in Sri Lanka places the center in dominant position in the context of center-provincial relations. The central government has to provide adequate institutional capacity to subnational government to deal with post-war regional development. Public-private partnership as well as public-private non-profit partnerships also has to promote at subnational level mean for post-war regional development. And the institutional capacity is prerequisite to effectively deal with public-private non-profit partnership. Therefore, fiscal, human, physical resources are prerequisite for appropriate or adequate institutional capacity at subnational level, the subnational government. And political commitment also, not only political commitment, not only from the top level as well, the bottom level also we need, because as we know, the national level politician, there are some contradictions or fight with the subnational politician as well national politician. They are saying that everything's doing by central politicians. We are not doing, just we are going and cutting the ribbon, those things. So the commitment should be come from the subnational politician also. Thank you. These are our references. Actually, this is not quantitative studies. This is ongoing studies. We are expecting your suggestion to improve our studies further. Thank you.